What is going on, everybody? I go by the name of Kari, and I want to thank you guys for joining me here today on SneakerPhetish. We're looking at another Yeezy today. I run out of ideas on what to talk about with Yeezys, but here we go. Boom. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Yeezy Boost 700 Tephra. Kanye has been on a bit of a tear lately as far as these V2 700 boosts. All of the more recent ones that have been coming out have something to do with volcanoes or rocks, which is fitting if you're a reseller because these have all been bricks. But let's take a little closer look at this 700 in particular, talk a little bit about the inspiration behind it and exactly what Tephra is. Because I feel like a lot of us are buying and selling these sneakers without really even understanding what Kanye is trying to do here or the stories that him and Adidas are trying to tell. Now, regular Yeezy 700 silhouette on these, everything about the shoe is pretty much the same, but there's some interesting colors and textures in this pair. Now, you got a whole lot of gray going on here, starting with the midsole. You got that thick, boosty midsole here that's kind of this really, really dark, almost cement-like gray. Moving up from there into the lower part of the upper of the shoe, this is where you get the really nice tough leather as well, almost like the suede here. Now that's also a really dark gray. Moving into the upper part of the quarter panels of the sneaker. Now I thought this was going to be 3M here for the stripes. It is not 3M, unfortunately. There's only very small hits of 3M that we'll take a look at in a little bit. I'll be honest with you, this might actually be one of my favorite materials here. It's really subtle, but this is a really premium leather right here, right in the front of the quarter panels of the shoe. On the toe box of the shoe, you still get kind of that mesh, more breathable gray material here. And a really interesting choice for the outsole here. Gum bottom mixed with the gray cement-like color for the outsole. This is interesting, but I actually like it. Gray insole with the Ortholite and Adidas Yeezy branding on the heel. And honestly, that's pretty much it about these. You guys know everything about Yeezy 700. You've seen a million different pairs of the V1 and V2 700s at this point, so that's pretty much it. Let's take a look at the 3M. Boom. And there it is. So you can see the 3M action here is pretty minimal on the 700 Tephras. You got a little bit of 3M here on both sides of the eyelets, a little pop of 3M around the back of the shoe here, and a little pop of 3M right here on the toe box, and that's pretty much it. Now, why this doesn't light up at all is completely beyond me, but I guess they weren't going for a shoe that had a whole lot of pop to it as far as the 3M. They wanted some more subtle hits about it, and they definitely achieved it with these. Now, like I said, let's talk a little bit about where the Tephra idea actually came from and how it kind of coincides with all the different 700s that have been dropping lately. Now, if you guys remember, we actually got the Geode version 2 700 not that long ago. And if you remember, a geode is actually a hollow rock that usually has some sort of precious mineral inside, like quartz or something like that. Now, after that, more recently, we got the Vanta 700 version 2. Now, the Vanta was a really interesting one because what a lot of people don't know is that Vanta is actually an artificially manufactured substance. Vanta also in and of itself is an acronym that stands for Vertically Aligned Carbon Nanotube Arrays. It's a black color, but it's actually one of the blackest and darkest substances known to mankind. It can absorb up to 99.96% of light. And it was created by a nanosystems company out of the United Kingdom. I don't know what Kanye's been doing, but he might have been spending a little too much time in Utah around all them rocks and going on too many trips overseas to talk about these people because these colors really have some very interesting stories behind them. So that brings us to the Tephra. What exactly is Tephra? Well, I'm glad that you asked. When a volcano erupts, the stuff that comes out of the volcano is actually known as Tephra. Now, Tephra is not actually one specific thing, but it's actually a culmination of things that all come together, and depending on how big or small it is, has different names, some of which you may be more familiar with than others. The smallest version of Tephra is actually called ash. If you've ever heard of ash or volcanic ash, that's actually a form of Tephra. Ash is actually a form of Tephra that is 2 millimeters or smaller. Now, if the Tephra is between 2 and 64 millimeters, it's known as volcanic cinder. And if the Tephra is larger than 64 millimeters, it's known as a volcanic bomb or a volcanic block. Tephra can also be very dangerous when it mixes in with the atmosphere. If there's precipitation in the atmosphere, it actually can cause acid rain. Now, normally because Tephra is made up of so many different substances to make up its own substance, it's usually different colors like this that you see reflected in the shoe here. It's a darker gray, a lighter gray. Sometimes there's a brownish tint to it. So actually, it's a really good execution of Tephra when you really do your research about it. So here's the thing. Is Yeezy resale dead? Absolutely not. As we've seen with the reflective black version 2 Yeezy 350s that we've seen lately that are still going for over $1,000. And the non-reflective version of the black 350 version 2 is still fetching around 400 or around $450. So I don't think Yeezy resale is dead. Now, is this shoe going to be nearly as popular as an all black version 2 350? Absolutely not. And hey, maybe that's for the best. Yeezy's for everybody, right? I think that Kanye is really trying to delve deeply into his knowledge and his understanding of the world and the universe around us, while also providing some interesting colorways that actually coincide with some pretty cool things about nature, if you're into that kind of thing. The only thing about it is the price tag. At $300, I don't think that many people who are geologists are gonna pay that much money for a sneaker that's called Tephra, which means that it's up to us, the sneakerheads, to buy up all these sneakers that may or may not know or even care about geology like that. And what you're stuck with is a sneaker that, at the time I'm recording this, is still sitting on Yeezy supply because people just aren't buying them. So I don't think that Yeezy resale is dead as long as there's hype behind it. But hasn't that kind of always been the case in the sneaker world? All in all, I'll tell you guys like this. Probably not my favorite Yeezy 700, but a really interesting colorway, and it really gave me a chance to really delve into some things and kind of activate the nerd inside of me. And for that, I'm pretty thankful. But again, $300, that's a lot of money. All right, enough about me talking about the sneaker and getting all nerdy on you guys. Now it's time for y'all to sound off and tell me what you guys think about the Yeezy 700 Tephra. Did you guys add these to your collection? Chances are you didn't, because like I said, it's still sitting on a lot of different websites. But if you did cop, tell me why. Of course, while you're down in the comments, make sure that you click on that subscribe button. We would love to welcome you into the Sneaker Fetish family to make sure you don't miss out on any more heat that comes through like these, because I guarantee you, I got a lot more heat on the way. Before I do my outro, there's the box. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me here today on Sneaker Fetish, taking a look at these with me, unboxing them with me for a couple of minutes. I go by the name of Kari. This is the Adidas Yeezy Boost 700 Tephra, and until next time, I'm out.